All right, so small, tiny confession starting out. Growing up, I never really saw what was anything special about being a Hoosier. It wasn't that I had anything against it per se, but it just didn't seem like there was a lot to recommend it. We'll do a quick case study. Show of hands, who here knows John Mellencamp? Local celebrity, great guy. Let me tell you just a quick thing about John Mellencamp. When I was growing up, my dad had a small pizza shop in the mall, and every odd day, John Mellencamp would come in. He'd pick up 2 slices of sausage pizza, large Diet Coke, sit in the back corner of the restaurant where no one could really see him, and smoke 2 cigarettes, and he was done. That was it. That was all that John Mellencamp was to me. That's what a celebrity was to me in Indiana. The only celebrity thing I saw him do was one time when this girl who was working for my dad for the Christmas season, she came up to him. She, really drawing in, Mr. Mellencamp, I'm such a huge fan. My dad is such a huge fan. You are so important to us. And it would just mean the world. You could make his Christmas. If I could just get one autograph. I'm so sorry, but could I just get one autograph from you? He looked her dead in the eyes, told her to piss off, and to keep her tears to herself. That was what a Hoosier celebrity was to me. That's what I knew them as. I mean, he was a jerk. And every year without fail, if John Mellencamp was putting on a concert in Bloomington, my dad would go see him, because that's what a Hoosier does. I could not fathom why you go to see such a jerk. And I continue not to understand this till about a few years ago, it came about by what I'm ashamed to say is a bit of a John Mellencamp moment. Out in Brown County, there's this road called Bear Creek Road. And about a mile after it turns to gravel, there's a small church camp with an even smaller library. And I managed to pick up a job that summer at that camp. And before I'd left, my grandmother, who anything about being a Hoosier was considered exemplary. I mean, if you were just born here, you were special by design. And before I had left, she had handed me a book of James Whitcomb Riley poems and said, Indiana was once home to the second highest amount of American authors, and this is a great Hoosier author. Now, there's some great Indiana writers in this room tonight, even, and they do fantastic work, but I didn't think anyone really deserved the full, chin-up patrician pronouncement that she was giving. So I thanked her for the book, promptly dismissed the rest, and looked through that library for something to read. And I found this small little pamphlet by Ernie Pyle that was a collection of essays and news articles he had written before the war. He was down in Brown County, he was taking some time, and I thought, well, this will be interesting. So I promptly stole the book, threw it into my pack, and there it sat for most of the summer. Then one night, when the kids were asleep and I needed something to get my mind off things, I found that little pamphlet, and I started flipping through it. And I couldn't quite figure what I was reading, because here he was talking about Brown County, and he was talking about something he really knew. But he wasn't over-sentimentalizing it, but he still had sentiment in his words. There was no over-amplification. It was just pure, simple prose that just was honest. And it struck me. It's like I couldn't quite figure out what was going on here, so I needed to figure out how he wrote so simply and so honestly. So I ended up reading what he wrote during the war. Same, kind of style, vastly different subject. I still couldn't gather it, so I went to Vonnegut. Same war, vastly different approach, same honesty. Finally, I went back to the jerk, Mellencamp, thinking, okay, there's got to be some way to break the trend here. But no, despite what I felt about him, I could not deny the man was looking at the American dream with the same kind of honesty that I found in Hoosier writer after Hoosier writer after Hoosier artist after this long line of people I was seeing, and I just couldn't get it. And I'm not going to tell you today that I do understand anything special about being a Hoosier or anything from my search, but I do have a theory. And I'm testing it every day, anytime I meet someone interesting, anytime I meet someone who has something to say, and especially anytime it's someone from this state. And it's what I found was that Hoosiers are observers, and they see things with a clarity and honesty that is hard to encapsulate, but when they do choose to speak, either through art, music, writing, or even up here in front of a, nicely collected group of people. And there's something special about that. And that is truly unique. Thank you.